Okay, so I'm gonna do this video and then I'm gonna do one other video, but I have to probably add some space before I do it. So, I was watching a video basically on racial dating and I think this is a major thing with me. When I watch certain channels that are supposed to be pro divestment, pro spoilers, pro interracial dating, things of that nature, I always find that I don't feel that they live the same life I live, or something is not connecting here. Something is not the same, And I think a major part of it is, I think this is why I end up calling people sometimes the word mammy, because I feel like these are the women who are into black men, and then they start talking about black men, but they start talking about other races in order to try to put down black men and stuff. And then they start trying to talk about dating other races and things of that nature, and how things are so much better and things of that nature. And so, from someone's perspective like mine, it's kind of like, who only dates interracially, by the way. I only date interracial. I've never dated within my race. It's just never happened. And it's not like I'm one of those people who's against dating a black man. I'm not. I just have never dated a black man. I've just never been attracted to him. That's majorly what I've always pointed out. See, me, you know, you have to understand, from my perspective, I grew up in a household where, some black families, they're the idea that they have in their families is if there's a racial hierarchy, the lowest would be black, which is really fucked up because who really thinks their race is less than everyone else's? But I mean, some types of supremacy have really been ingrained in some black people. Point is, I didn't grow up that way. I grew up in a family where I was taught that Hispanic people, Mexican people specifically, were uh, that's how I was taught. Um, and so, if you understand what I like, what I'm interested in, generally is men who are of Hispanic ancestry. That's my preference, generally. Hispanic or very mixed race men. So obviously for me it's not about like the connotations with one race or another. Those things don't matter to me, but a lot of the time people love to bring those things up because that matters to them and that's what they're thinking about when they're thinking about whether they date someone of one race or another race, you know. Uh, so to me it's never been about those things. Generally tend to think that people are bad people sometimes, and people are good people sometimes, and it just depends on the character, really. Not really about the race of the person, really. And, I was watching someone else talking about how they think that some people just really don't interracially date, and all they've dated with black men. That's why they don't really know what it's like to actually do it, actually date people of other races, and have good times, bad times, and just regular people who may not be meant for you and people who are meant for you. It's not about the color; it's the character. And I feel like a lot of the time with divestors and spoilers, they are focused on the color. They think the color defines the character rather than the character defines the person. Color's got nothing to do with it. Color can define if you're attracted to them, but if you're attracted to all races, your options are open. And for me personally, I'm not attracted to all races. I'm not. I'm not attracted to Asian men. I'm not attracted to dark-skinned black men. That's just how I am. I'm attracted to white men, Hispanic men, mixed race men, things like that. You know, and that closes my options down. But I mean, like, honestly, closing your options from, you know, other races of men and only black men kind of does the same thing, but worse because black men aren't the majority. And that's the thing with me, it's like, interracial dating to me was always more so preferable for me anyway because of the number situation. It's like most of the men are not black, so then why would you be with only black men when most men are not black in America? So most men that you encounter are not going to be black. That to me is not about hate against black men. It's about what's the realistic outcome, you know? And also, one other thing I didn't like with the divestment sector in some sectors. And this has to do with some mammy sectors, I think, again, because I think normal people who interracially date do not think of themselves as less than other races. I think they see themselves as actually equal to other races. That's why they interracially date. Mammies don't. That's why, like, for example, Cynthia G was saying how she thought she was less than other women. That's why she was only with black men. And that's what she said about white women. That's how men see it. They see it like, they're not good enough for other races because they see blackness as a lesser characteristic, but they see whiteness as a better characteristic. You know, when you do that, like I said, you're devaluing yourself as a black person, whether you're a black man or a black woman. If you pedestalize white women or white men, you're just hurting yourself, or any other race for that matter. I also wanted to bring up one other thing, you know, and this is a thing I have a hard time with. Somebody was talking about, like, who you have more appeal with and things of that nature, right? So they're basically talking about how they, like, she was talking about how Indian men preferred her over other races of men, generally because she's a thicker woman. I always find it's generally, for me, I've always had it with dark skinned black men and then blonde hair, blue eyed white guys. I always go one end or the other end. It's always an extreme. Probably redheads too, but I'm not attracted to redheads. And I'm not attracted to dark skinned black men. So that just leaves me with blonde hair, blue eyed guys. Which kind of sucks because that's like my least favorite still. Like, but I kind of have been like of a mentality like, color doesn't define you. It's more so, character. And, that's a lot more of what I think I appreciate in divested platforms is when they focus more on character rather than color. Okay, I meant to do a little bit more of the last video on, I got a little cut off at the end. But, basically, yeah, the person I was watching, they were talking about how Indian men prefer them because they're thicker. For me, I think my situation, it tends to be men on either end. So, I think, generally from my experience, I get pretty much similar interests. Probably more, I always think, because like I said, numbers are a very big portion to this, and the majority of men are not white, are not black. So, that takes into account. I generally get dark skinned black men that are interested, but I also get white men who blonde, blue eyes, fair skin. I would say if you were to say number to number, it would probably be more blonde haired, blue eyed, fair skinned white men in the sense of numbers because there's more of them. But Yeah, and I think mostly in both respects, it's just your difference to them. That's what attracts them. The whole opposites attract thing. Uh, with black men, they tend to be highly colorist against themselves, in my experience, and they always like to talk about being mixed, me being mixed, about things of that nature, trying to otherize me to be interested in me. They can't love themselves, basically. That's what they're trying to say. In the case of the other, though, with white men who are fair skinned, I don't think it's most much of I hate myself kind of thing. I think it's just that they just find what's opposite to them attractive. And some people are just like that. They just prefer what's opposite to them. And some people, they may not just be attracted to what's opposite to them. They just see that that's an appeal. They are attracted to what's opposite to them, and they're attracted to what's similar. It doesn't have to be a one size fits all situation. But for me, it is hard to cope with because I prefer Hispanic men. I prefer mixed men and Hispanic men. So I guess you could say I struggle with this. I don't really go with what prefers me. I try to go with what I prefer, and that always bites me in the ass. So I always end up going with those guys that I'm like, I have some attraction to. I can find attractive just as attractive as Hispanic men. I can find white men as attractive as Hispanic men. It's just, I find more Hispanic men attractive than I ever do white men, basically. That's basically all I had to say in this video. Yeah, that's about it. Do I want to? Yeah, that's basically it. I wanted to also say, I think I agree a lot with what I was saying. Um, when I was watching the other person's video, and how she was talking about a lot of people who complain about black men, they aren't really interracial dating with non-black men. And I feel like that experience is exactly true because with divestment, you would understand the different classes of men irrespective to whatever color they are. Okay, so if they're white, and this is a big thing for me with divestment. Divestment for me is not about black men. It's about white men. It's about a better class of white men. Most of my dating experiences have been just playing around mostly. Like I'm not caring about the class of men that you fool around with that you're just attracted to rather than, um, actually wanting something more than just like a little fun, a little dating, or, interaction, what I mean. If you're really thinking of things in a long term situation, you're being more picky basically. And you're basically figuring out who has the right temperament characteristics that you're looking for on top of, it has the certain morals that you want, the certain lifestyle that you live, and so forth. You know. So that is just what I'm just trying to say in this video. In respect to divestment, I think a lot of the time people who just talk about the bad side of dating black men are the ones who are dating low class black men. I honestly think that you can implement divestment onto black men as well. You can divest from the low class black man and be with a high class black. Yeah, the thing is, for me, the reason why I am not looking for a high class black man is because I'm not attracted to a black man. It doesn't matter if he's a good black man, a bad black man. Um, Neither nor black man, okay? It doesn't matter. I'm not attracted to him. I'm not a good fit for a black man. I wouldn't be a good partner for a black man because I wouldn't make him feel attractive or like the ideal man for me. I would make his self-esteem feel very poorly because he's not my type. This just not gonna be good for either of us, you know. So I mean, you have to understand who you're made for and who you're not made for, and move accordingly. So all in all, on the video lifestyle with Danielle made, I definitely did generally agree with what she was saying on interracial dating. She is definitely a real one. Anyone can tell that, and I love her advice. Um, I tend to watch her for many different things, and especially not on dating, but actually your own personal life, which is